So I'll start off with Figma. If you haven't downloaded it, use this link. I'll put in the link in the chat later, so you can download the Mac version as well as Windows version for from here. So right after that, I'll just open my Figma. This is a symbol for the desktop, so it's already open here. So whenever you open your Figma, so this is how it opens up. It will be showing you the recently viewed things. So I've done a lot of things there. So that's what it is showing. So go to the plus sign. So it will create a new worksheet for you to work on. So I'll start with the basic elements, how you need to work. Can you just put a yes in the chat that you can hear me or not? Okay, okay, great. Okay. So the first thing is the most basic element is to start with this icon, this hash type of icon, and go to frame and go to frame. So now, when you select this frame, you have an option to select different types of frames you want to work on. Like there are like for phones, these are the pixels and the height and width. And then we have the tablet and there are others. So what we'll be using is desktop. So first I'll go to desktop. I'll just double click here. So it will give me a version of desktop that this is the frame I want to work on. Now, the most important thing is we are doing all this thing to embed it into our visualization. That is our main objective. So before doing anything, the important part is what is our aspect ratio for our visualization. Let's say I want to build my dashboard. I'll just go with the automatic infix. So here it is coming like 1604 by 878. So what I'll do is I'll just stick with this ratio for now. So I'll go here. Here you can see there is X and Y. I don't think you need to bother about these values X and Y because these are the coordinates of this plane and you don't have anything to do with that. You can play with that, but it won't help you that much. So the next thing is width and height. Now, we had the width as 1604. So I'll stick with that 1604 by 878. 878. Okay, and I'll just zoom it to fit. So this is now the same aspect ratio as it is in my Tableau dashboard. So the other things are here. This is the angle you can use to rotate. Like it is 0 here. If you put like 10, it rotates the whole frame by 10. So if you want to do something like that, you can use this. Now there's another thing that is called corner radius. These are the corners. If you want to like round it off, you can use this corner radius to put in a value. If I put in like 20, now it rounds off your corners. Yeah, for frame, maybe you can use it or not. It just based upon how you want it. So I'll stick with 0 only. Now, auto layout, I won't prefer you to use this because at start I don't think this is a good option. Now layout grid is also there. So what layout grid does is it creates a grid for you to work on. You can change the size of the grid. Let's say I'll take 20. So if you want to stick with this type of thing, like when you're writing text, you want your text to be aligned. So you can use this grid lines and later you can just switch it off. So that's how your texts are all in a straight line and it looks better. Now the next thing you need to focus on is fill. Now what fill does is the most important thing. Like if you want to color your frame, so there are many options which I'll go with the objects part, but here you can choose any of the colors you want to go with your frame and you can just pick it up, or you can put the hex code in and that will do as well. Okay, and later there are other options which I'll show you. Now we have our frame ready. This is our basic I can say the background on which we'll work on to create a background template. Now comes in the important objects that are shapes. Now first start with rectangle. So if I select a rectangle, you just need to select it and drag it along whatever size you want. Now, what are the things you can do with rectangle? That is the most important thing. Now, if I select a rectangle, now what happens here is, now this pane is same for every object as well as for the frame. So the notations and everything doesn't change. That's why Figma is very easy to use. Now, this already we know that if we want to change our size, we can play with width and height. And this is the, now if I want to bend its corners, so I'll just use here 20. So, and the next thing is fill. Now with fill, what else we can do apart from just filling it with color? So there are things like linear. If you use linear, you can create a gradient of yourself. Like if I want it to be orange and I want the letter part to be, let's say, so it creates a gradient of such sort that you want. The next thing would be, I'll use diamond. So basically you won't use it, but I want to show what things are possible here. The most important thing which you'll be using is image. Now, if you select your image, you can, you just select here from image and then go to choose image. I'll take on image. Hmm, okay. So now it fills. Now with the image, there are some options. If you use fill, it will fill your rectangle even if you resize it. It will always fill it. These are like simple notations. Now, if you fit it, it will fit it as per the aspect ratio. So even if you increase it, it will always keep the same aspect ratio. Then the other part comes in is tile. I don't know when you would like to use this, but I never used it for sure. Now, the next thing is cropped. Now, how crop helps? That is the most important thing. Like in rectangle, you have this whole image, but you don't want the whole part of it. So you just first select this crop from here, and then through this blue type of headers which we have, just select whatever part you want. Like I want this part only, and this is it. Now, even if you resize, the happy Halloween thing is only here. So this is how the rectangle and these things work. Now, I'll just remove the image and I'll show you other things what are possible here. Sorry. So now coming after the fill, there is stroke. Now what stroke does is it just creates a boundary. You can see now we have a, I'll make it bigger. I have a black boundary around my rectangle. So we can resize it. Like here it is just showing 1. So the width corresponds to the number, how you increase it. If I put in 5, it grows bigger, and you can also select the color of your boundary, whatever you want. And there comes an effect which you will use when you will be creating buttons, or you can use it in other ways as well. So after going to objects, I won't go to effects, but I'll go to other objects which are available here. So then comes line. So what line does is a simple line, nothing else. And for this, you fill doesn't work that much because it's just a line, so it doesn't have something to fill in. So stroke, you can play with the stroke. Now, the important thing is like if I'll increase the width, I'll increase it more so that it is visible. So now we have a thick line. You can just move it around as well. If you're moving it from one end, it is getting pivoted from one point and it is moving along. So that's how you control the angle also. That's an easy part. So now from here, you can change the color of the line. Take this one. Okay. Now with line, there comes one more thing which you can use is If you go to this three dotted lines you can see here, this is an advanced stroke. Now what advanced stroke does is, if you want like round round line, you can change here. Now if you want like line but with some gaps, I'll show you what I mean is, like if I put 2 comma 15, it will create a dotted line. So if you want to create such a line with some dots creating a whole line, so this is how you do it. So if you have any questions, just feel free to put in, because the main objective is to make things clear. Okay, so I'll continue now. There's another thing I would like to add on with, now if you have a line, now there's a thing that you want to use it as it is. Now what if you want to bend it? Is it possible in Figma? So yes, it is. So after you select the object, you need to go to this shows here edit object. Now right after you click it, there are options like, this is a select pen, but this is the bend tool which you can use to bend your line. After I select this, if I select from any point, I can bend my line. So you can play along with this bend tool to bend your line. Now I can use the same thing to bend my rectangle as well. Now if it's already selected, first I'll select this object, I'll go to edit object, and then I select this bend tool. Now if I, so it is bending the boundary, so I selected this boundary, so it is bending the boundary. So if you want to create like some different types of, let's say I'll create a shape. So I first need to, so I don't want to do this, but what I'll do is, I'll select a pen, I'll put a point here, I'm done with it. Then I'll go here, I select this point. Now I can move through this. So the basic idea about bend is, you can rotate through points now or planes which you have. So play it along. You can create like different types of objects, whichever way you want for your visualization. Now the another thing here is, I'd like to show you is arrow. Now arrow is just an extension for line. What it does is, it just has a header. So if you want like some line and you want a header for it as well, so this goes well. That's the only thing it has. Now coming to ellipse. Ellipse is what you can use for creating your circles, but for this I have created, it's 430 versus 397. To make it a circle, I need to put in the same values, and that's what it is. So it's a very simple drag and drop tool, like Tableau. For a basic, I think it's a very simple tool, but when you go deeper into it, it becomes complex. So you can do many things here, but these are things which you can easily do it. Now after these objects, there are like polygons as well. So you can use, if you want, like if I want to create a triangle, and here is the number of sides. If I select like 5, it creates a, I think it's called pentagon. So it creates a pentagon. So it's very easy to do that as well. Apart from these things, the most important thing apart from objects which you will be using is text. Because what happens when we are creating, we are putting our text in Tableau, and we are uploading it on Tableau public. Generally what happens is, we can only use some of the web fonts. Some of the web safe fonts are there, because if you use something like uh, monotype cursive or something like that type of font, which are very good to eyes and they are different. But what happens when you upload that on Tableau Public, it goes haywire. So this is the main idea, because why I started Figma was that whenever I started uploading those things, it looked good on my desktop. But when I uploaded that on my public, it was not what I wanted. So taking things from Tableau is that I can build that visualizations from there. But if I want the rest part of the visualization, it is better to do it somewhere else. That's what others were also doing. So text, if I select a text, now let's say I'll select a font I'm very fond of now. I love it, Futura. So I'll just say, hi, welcome to the session. You can resize it before that as well. I'll just select it. So this is what your text is. Pardon my wrong spellings. Okay. So now I want to place this on my object. So I can place this here. I can move it around. But if I want to place it over here, over this welcome, over this text, it is not happening, right? It is going below. Now, this is the level of objects you have to control from here. Now you can see that rectangle is below ellipse. Now, if I put this rectangle, it is coming over here. But if I am putting it is going below this, I cannot put it over circle, right? But I can put this ellipse on rectangle, but I can not do the same here. So how it is happening? Because when you'll be creating like multiple objects to create a whole frame, that would be a thing you would like to place one object over another. So how will you control that? So for that, you need to see this pane. Now here you can see that this is the order of elements. These are your elements. The text come at the top, so it can be placed anywhere. It can be placed anywhere and will be always on top. Ellipse comes after, so it's not getting over this text box, but it is getting over these both things. So this is how it is. Now if I want to like place rectangle over circle, what I'll do is I'll just click on it and I'll just move it. I'll just drag it over here and put it. Now what happens, now if you place your circle again, it's not going over the rectangle. So you've changed the order of level of these objects. So this is how you can change whatever order you want. Now the next thing comes in, I want this text to be in my circle. So I've put it here. Now I'm creating my whole frame. I need to move this whole thing away from here. But when I'm moving, only the circle moves away from here, but not the text. So what should I need to do? So what I'll do is, first I'll click on the ellipse. I'll hold the control key and then I'll click on the text box. So after these both are selected, I'll just right click on it and there is a option called group selection. Now it creates a group. Now if you move it, it's a singular object now. Under these, you can see whatever elements you have under this group. You can even rename your group if you want, like say this is a circle with text to take reference later. So you can do that as well. Now, after these order of operations and elements, now the next thing what I would like to tell you about is what we left in this pane is effects. There's a thing called effects. Now, what does it do? Now, basically, what I use it for is, I'll show you first. I'll give this a black color. Now, I'll take this rectangle. Now, mostly I use this to create buttons. People used to use Microsoft PowerPoint as well to create buttons. Now, what effects does? I'll show you. First, I'll just take a dark color because this effects is what we also call it as neomorphism. People have been using these words like, what is this? So, oh, sorry. So after you click on this plus sign, this is an effect that is created on this object. You cannot see this right now because I'll just change its color. It will be better for you. Okay. Now, now let's say I want to create a raised effect to look it as a button. First, what I'll do is I'll round off its corners to give it a button look. Next, I'll just click on the plus sign and there is a drop shadow. Now I'll put in another. So now there are two drop shadows. Now how drop shadows work is this is the X and Y axis. So first I'll give just 4 value and I'll keep this 4 and 0 as it is. The blur and spread, we can change it. I'll show you what it does. Now in the next drop shadow, I'll just reverse this. I'll just make both of these negative so that whole of the rectangle is getting covered. Now you can see that earlier it was just a rectangle. Now it has somehow of a raised effect. Now I want to raise it more. What should I do then? Now there's nothing like it is creating an elevation. It's just an illusion what we create. So I'll just put in a spread value. I'll take a light color so that I can show you how it is going. So now you can see that this is somehow is having a raised effect. Right. Now if you place it on your dashboard, it looks like a button. Right. Now the next thing would be to put on your text over here. I'll just put on something like click me. And then I'll just group both of these so that they can move along. So that's how my button is used. So these are the only elements that you will use to create everything. I would say these are the only elements which you use. You just play with it more and more. And bend is also, I don't think I use it even, but yes, it is based upon your need. Now, the next thing, what I want to show you that will make your life a bit easier is something called plugins. So you can go to this main menu, this Figma button, and then you can search for, I'll give you a list of those plugins which I'm using. So let's say I'll use Unsplash. I'll show you what these things do, but I'm just showing you that these are the things that are available here. So here you can find all the plugins. Now what plugins is, that is the most important question. So first I'll go to Better Font Picker. Now how does this help? First, I'll come to this text box. Now I want to change this text. What I need to do is I'll click on this. I'll just select another. I see this, yeah, this is not good. Then I'll change another. Then I'll see, yeah, this is also not good. So it is taking a lot of my time even for selecting one. So how I will reiterate. That is the main problem. So what I'll do is I'll take this plugin. It is this text box is already selected. Now what I can do is I can just click on it. I can see what are the changes. So it's a bit of something that gives me a better ease to do things. So that's what plugin is. So it's a plugin named as Better Font Picker. So I generally use it because it makes my life a bit easy to select my fonts. I basically use two or three fonts only, but yes, it helps you to select those fonts and saves you a lot of time. The next plugin, what I'll show you is called UI gradients. So most of you will love this if you are a fan of using gradients, because somehow when you start with these visualizations and you see all those background templates, color selection is one of the most, I think, the hardest part, because playing with colors, I don't know, that was my thing where I lagged most, and fonts was also one of the things where I lagged most. So with the help of this UI gradients plugin, now I have this plugin here. I'll click on this object of mine. Now I'll just select this. It creates a gradient. I have lot many options. I can even tweak it later from here. If you want to tweak it like something, you want to give it a different gradient, but it helps, right? Because you have so many variations, and when you're placing them on your visualizations, it somehow comes in handy. So the plugins, their main objective is to make your things easier, and that what you should use when you're starting, because it will give you a reference of how colors are getting mixed up, how the gradients are created. So later you can create your own gradients as well. Now the next plugin what I can show you is, it's called, yeah, it's called feather icons. Okay, so when you need to get some, like, you want some icons in your screen. Now with the help of feather icons, you have lots of them here. You can use different sites as well, the flaticons, and there are many sites, but these are simple notations. I used these in one of my visualizations I did, and that came in very handy. I'll show you. So this was something I created earlier. So these are the icons I use from this plugin only. I just put in a simple text rectangle box, and then I put that gradient over there using the UI gradient, and then I was using the this plugin, which is called feather icons, to get my icons. If I could have created, it would have taken a lot of time for me, but this helped me to make this icon in a second, in a whiff. And the next I would like to show you, I'll just take in an image here. I'll take the same image. Okay. Now there is called something like image palette. Now what it does. Now after you select the image and you run this image palette plugin, it gives you a selection of some colors. It creates a palette for you that you can use with respect to this image. Now, if you have some color for your background and you don't know that which color you want to use for your text or for other objects, so this gives a slight variation of some colors which you can use to mingle your frame to look a bit better. So it helps in some ways. So it's better that you can take help from this. For a starter, it is a good thing if you are not much into colors. Now there's one more plugin I'll show you that is called Unsplash. Unsplash is something called, I'll say, that is somehow a repository of images. You can search for any random thing, like if I want to go for sports. There are lots of images. You can search for any type of things, and there are lots of images which you can use if you want them in your visualizations. This image also came from Unsplash only. These all images came from Unsplash only. So if I would have gone to like Google, that is also a thing we have been using like from our earlier days. So Unsplash gives you a repository of images to work on. Now the next thing is after you have created these things, how does it help to build your visualization? Because that is the main objective. I've created whole lot many things here, but how does that help? So I'll just create a simple another. I'll take another frame. I'll just put in the. I think my desktop ratio was 1604 by 878. 878. Just zoom it to fit. Now, what I'll do is first I'll go to my Tableau. Now, what I did, this is the recent data that came today, Makeover Monday. For 4 weeks, I haven't been able to make this Makeover Monday, but I'll try this week. So this is a data. This is just a bar graph. So I'm not going something into complex. So now what I did is whatever the default was, I just placed it here, my sheet, and I'll just export my image. First, I'll do that. Where's my okay? So I'll just it's already here. So what I'll do is now I have this image exported already. I'll go to Figma. I'll take a container, sorry, an object, a rectangular object, and then I'll take this image. I'll go for fit. Now I'll color the whole thing as the same color. I'll just pick color from here. Now, this is my simple bar chart, but the thing what we are gonna do with this total frame is how I'll make it more, I can say, appealing. So I'll take my best font first. So Nintendo sales in 2020. That's sorry, it's not Nintendo, it's Nintendo. Yeah, whatever. Nintendo. Okay. Now, let's say I want to show something like that. I'll create a line. I'll put a text box again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm taking this text box and I'll just place some text over here. Let's say in America, Nintendo had a huge demand over other continents. Okay. Now this is a simple, but we can do more things. So I'll just take this, whatever is here. I'll just click on this desktop. I'll scroll a bit down. I'll go to export, and then I can export it as PNG or JPG, whatever you want in the format. Prefer PNG because it takes less size. Now I'll just save it here as desktop one. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll go to this dashboard. I'll put this image box here and okay. But this is just an image. Now what I'll do is First thing is I'll make it none. It's already none. So after you've placed all these things, what you can do again is go back to your Figma and delete this part. I placed it here so that it can act as an reference. So where we have to put our sheets. So I'll again save this. I'll save it as desktop 2. So now our storytelling, I'll say a basic dashboard, but with the help of Figma, now even if you upload on Tableau Public or anything else, plus you can add whatever storylines and whatever you want to add. The best thing is this is a simple template to get that how you can work this around with Figma and Tableau, how you can integrate both of these things and work it out. So the next level, I would say to take references from some of the sites. I'll share these references as well. So there are some sites such as Pinterest, Behance. So there are lots of visualizations here already. If I open it, let's say this is from Behance. So you can download these things and you can take this as a reference. I'll show you in one of the visualization. What I did was, now let's say this visualization. Now made this thing, this whole thing, but I took this as a reference. So this was one of the images I got from, I think, Pinterest only, and I got some references from Judith Becker's Viz as well. So from there, I took this image and I created this whole layout in Figma, and then I exported it onto Tableau, and then I just placed my whatever sheets I had. I think it will. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll just go to my Tableau Public. So I made this whole thing in Figma. And later I just added these scatter plots in these containers, which I created in Figma itself. And it's looked better. So that's how you can leverage Figma. And that's all I wanted to share because Figma is a simple, primitive type of design tool. You can play with it in whatever way you want and create whatever you want to. And please, if you have any questions, please, you can ask.